Heyo, what is up everyone? This is the Alpha J Show. So I have been heavily requested by many people to talk about Powerpuff Girls. Well, let's do it.
We made dioramas in geography class and I worked really hard and the teacher gave me an A+.
Huh.
And that's a problem. Why? He gave everyone an A+.
Wow.
If grades are meaningless, then I am meaningless.
Yeah, no. I think I'll stick with the original. Whether it's the heavily talked about reboot or the loved original series, I'm gonna be honest, I was never a huge fan of the Powerpuff Girls franchise. Now, before you click that unsubscribe button, just note that I don't dislike the series. I'm merely stating that when you line up Powerpuff Girls with shows like Johnny Bravo, Courage the Cowardly Dog, Billy and Mandy among my childhood favorites from the early to mid 2000s, the Powerpuff Girls did not interest me. Now, to say that because it was a girl show and that it wouldn't interest me is actually very far from the truth. Tell that to my style savvy game for the DS. I'm going to talk about both shows and my perspective for a bit, so if you don't really want to hear about that, skip to around this time on screen. I'm probably never going to get another chance to talk about this show in particular unless someone requests it in late August or asks about it in my live streams. Now, the Powerpuff Girls was a show at the time that was both an action and superhero show, both genres of shows that never interested me as a kid. Yeah, I was that kid. Now, my big point here is that just like with Teen Titans Go, I was never really interested in the original show as a child. I cannot dislike it for the same reasons that other people may dislike the reboot. Not only would I just be jumping on the hate bandwagon, but it wouldn't give me credibility as a honest reviewer. The same applies here. With the reboot, since I never watched the original series and wasn't really a big fan, I'm going in with eyes that a lot of younger people, along with the rest of that demographic, may have. The show starts off with clever foreshadowing of the plot having
the city of Townsville
winning the Teamwork Award, including a trick shot before trick shots were cool. I'll admit, it did get a laugh out of me, even though I knew where it was going. The town is working together, having great chemistry, especially in pairs. The show worked in a lot of nice jokes and created an atmosphere of all is well, which a lot of superhero shows and movies ought to master before getting into the craft. Then we get this marvelous piece. I read once that producers mashed many animal sounds together to create the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park's roar because of the obvious. We don't have a sound for that sort of beast because it hasn't existed at the time when we could record it. I suspect that the exact approach was made here, and if so, props to the sound engineer because this roar is fantastic. They also introduced the plot in under 2 minutes, which is always a good thing. Making a fairly quick full circle back to the beginning of the episode, everything goes awry. Everything that the town was doing yesterday gets interrupted by the giant's footsteps vibrating the town. We also get a little bit of filler with the mayor. I don't understand it, but I'm assuming it was a longer joke than it needed to be, which includes the exciting action of the mayor tuning his instrument.
Buttercup, hotline. I'm not getting it, you get it. Nobody cares to see your gore. Now answer it. Well, your plans stink. You answer it.
Bubbles would end up answering the call, which foreshadows the pretty funny ending. I'll mention the obvious before I go deeper. Blossom represents order and structure. Buttercup represents instincts and intuition. While Blossom wants to plan and execute, Buttercup would rather do things in the moment. Many cartoons exhibit this dynamic in thought. Just to name a few, Leonardo and Raphael in their latest run in the franchise, Pearl and Amethyst, and even Mac and Blue. Just to name a few. Neither side is 100% right, however, when delving into the topic, you would need some form of a winner. I covered this topic back in my third review, however, that had to do with the equivalent of Girl Scouts. This episode, however, has a unique spin on the topic. Then we get this scene where a flock of birds rush past the girls. It's just like the mayor scene, drawn out and irrelevant to the plot. Maybe I'm not getting it. Maybe the joke is going over my head. Either way, it did not stop me from understanding the plot, so it could have been trashed entirely. They reach the town where flocking townspeople and the awesome drum and bass music build up the confrontation between the girls and the monster. The episode starts off with Blossom's side, the structure and order side. They try out a battle plan and each get destroyed in the process.
Hold it! We're not pulling no G-37. We're not? We didn't even get a chance to attack him. So instead of just buzzing around him in some fancy pattern, we're gonna hit him head on and kick some monster butt.
So now they try instincts and intuition. Buttercup hits the monster many times, however it doesn't phase it. Instead, they get hit and fall to the ground again. In the process, Blossom and Buttercup still argue over which way is better. I like the way they show contrast. Although they show that neither side is better, they subtly show why neither side would always be right. For example, Blossom's execution was smashed to bits, immediately being complicated. Then they showed Buttercup's way of being annihilated for not taking anything into account, like let's say plain sight. Either way, they take Bubbles and neither take her opinion into account. Also, slight wording error. So Buttercup states to Blossom that she would rather destroy the monster by herself than immediately after asks Bubbles to join her. Maybe she meant that she would destroy the monster using her own tactics? Either way, you wouldn't notice it, but it's worth noting. Their antics are clearly getting to Bubbles. They even show how both fight and how the monster looks like me when I go to the dentist.
Brains! Brawn! Brains! Brawn! Brawn! It's the brains and I'll prove it to you! Oh, no you don't! You're not stealing all the glory!
Bubbles also counts down from 3, knowing that the monster would simply swat them away like before. Show, don't tell. So of course Bubbles has had enough and confronts the monster.
Mr. Monster, I was wondering if you would, be so kind as to stop destroying Townsville. Pretty please with sugar lumps on top? That's how you get rid of a monster, you big fat doo-doo-headed yes!
That moment alone made this episode my favorite so far, not only because it wraps up the plot in a quite interesting way, but it's also really funny. I picked this episode because one of the main problems I see in the future reboot and another reboot is character dynamics. Many times there isn't any, or it's too extreme. What happened to characters not being known for one trait? You know, watering down, flanderization. We had it before, and I'll even say we have it right now. But with the trends of the shows coming out on Cartoon Network, we wouldn't want shows that have flat characters only known for one thing, because then Cartoon Network would be known and abandoned for that one thing. This was a short review, but I did want to do something on Powerpuff Girls, and this was a really nice episode, so I decided to talk about this one in particular. Join me next time, where I talk about one of the greatest shows on Disney right now. And it's not Star vs. the Forces of Evil, and it's not Gravity Falls. As always, I hope your time was well spent, and Alpha out. They're gonna hate me.